Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to show you how to create, batch edit, and split apart Altium schematic library components into various subparts. This will help you create and manage larger schematic parts in an efficient manner. For this example, I'm going to be creating the schematic symbol for a Xilinx Spartan FPGA with 676 BGA balls. Normally you would not create a part this large from scratch, but some of the tips and tricks that come along with managing the insane number of electrical connections will probably help you batch edit and manage the components you work with in your electrical libraries. The first feature I'm going to show you guys is called the Symbol Wizard. So first, before we get started, we're going to open the data sheet for the part and scroll down to the list of electrical connections. I'm going to take all these pins in order and copy and paste them into a text file. I typically use Notepad++ for this. Pasting into a text file makes it a lot easier for Excel to delimit the data correctly, but if you're more versed in Excel than I am, there's likely a way to paste directly into Excel and avoid this step. So I'm going to highlight all of the data in this text file, row by row, and paste it into a text document. After I have all this data nicely delimited in a text file, I'm going to open Excel and paste the data into a new workbook. Using Excel makes it easier to manipulate the data and format it in a way that Altium will be able to batch add them correctly from a feature called the Symbol Wizard. In this example, I've already formatted the pin data into a tab delimited Excel file with a number for electrical group, the name of the pin number or designator, and the pin type. With the data formatting done, I'm going to create a new library by going to File, New, Library, Integrated Library, then after that going to File, New Schematic Library within the Integrated Library project. This will bring up the Schematic Library editor. What you would typically do to create a regular IC component is place a rectangle for the body of the component by going to Place, Rectangle, or the hotkey PR, and then size the rectangle and add all of the pins manually one by one. In this example, it would probably take a decent engineer a couple of days to complete this component while ensuring there are no errors. To do this in a manner that's much faster and less prone to errors, I'm going to show you guys how to batch add pins with the Symbol Wizard. First, I'm going to delete the rectangle from the schematic editor. Then I'm going to open the Symbol Wizard by going to Tools, Symbol Wizard. I'm then going to take all my formatted data from my Excel document and paste it into the wizard. The wizard enables you to batch add and even edit all of the pins and their parameters at once on the schematic page in a spreadsheet-like environment. So all I have to do here is type the number of pins into the dialog box, paste all my data from my Excel spreadsheet, and the wizard will automatically generate the symbol for me. The default layout style for a part this big is impossible to read, so I'm going to change the layout style up top to quad side. After changing the layout style, the preview on the right-hand side will update in real time to reflect any changes made to the part. This is true for any changes you make, including adding additional pins or changing pin names. Now that I'm done pasting in my data, I'm going to place the part on the schematic sheet by clicking the Place Symbol button. It should be pretty easy to see at this point how this somewhat buried feature makes creating new components much faster and easier, but what about editing them? To demo that, I'm going to show you guys how this wizard can be used in conjunction with Altium's filtering interface to batch edit parts intelligently. You may notice that this schematic component is ungodly in size. I can't even fit it onto a D-size schematic sheet with room for all the electrical connections associated with it. I'll bet you didn't know that Altium actually has its own querying language. The language itself is described in detail on Altium's website, including everything it can do, but I'm going to specifically use the isPin and location XY queries to intelligently select pins along each side of the schematic symbol and split it into 4 different manageable subparts. To start using the query language in the schematic symbol editor, Open the SCH-lib filter pane. If this is not visible for you, click Panels in the bottom right side of the editor and open it up from there. In the filter window, I type ispin, the keyword and paste the relevant X or Y coordinates of each row of pins into the filter. Clicking Apply will apply this filter and select only the pins I want to move. After selecting the relevant rows and columns of pins, I'm going to press Ctrl X to cut them out of the large part, then go to Tools, New Part to add a subpart to the component. Within each of these subparts, I can then open the symbol wizard again and generate a quad-sided component for each group of pins that the symbol wizard sees on screen, effectively splitting this one symbol into 4 manageable sized chunks. After using this query a few times to select relevant pins, I've decided it's pretty useful. So I'm going to add it to my favorite expressions and give it a name by clicking the Favorites button. This will make it much easier to use and go back to in the future if I ever run into a situation like this again. Now that we actually have our schematic symbol created and split into 4 separate parts for ease of schematic creation, let's actually give our component more useful information. So you'll notice right now it's just called component 1, so let's start by renaming this to the actual name of the part. So what we'll call that is the manufacturer part number, and we'll actually use the manufacturer's name and then / manufacturer part number to make filtering easy. So I'm just going to copy this straight from the DigiKey website. Then for the name of the component, just paste it in for design item ID. Xilinx and then / part number. Then for the description, we'll just take the description from DigiKey and paste that in there for the description of the part. And then for the designator, we'll just give it U question mark, and question mark is actually a wildcard, so if there's multiple ones of these or multiple U's, it'll increment it automatically when you go to annotate the schematics. And then for the comment, usually I'll just give it this, the part number. And for the links, I like to put the datasheet in here. So I'll actually open the datasheet of the part. Add this, call it datasheet. Press add. And this will actually allow us to open the datasheet from our schematic to see if we're doing things right while we're actually creating the schematic. And you'll see there's also this family overview, and I like to add all of the supporting documents to whatever part that I'm working on. So what I'll do is call this family overview and add the link to this as well. for now leave footprint blank since we do not have a footprint for this part. And now for parameters. What you could do for each part is sit here and manually add everything. So sit here and say parameter 1, call this manufacturer. Then say Xilinx. But this is pretty messy, pretty error prone. If I were to make a spell check or a spelling mistake here, Altium wouldn't catch it. It actually relies on me mostly as the engineer to get all this stuff correct, and if I miss something, Altium won't catch it normally. So usually what you're going to want to do is add these automatically. It's just a lot easier, it's a lot less error prone, and then go in and clean them up after the fact. So what I usually do for this is we go to this manufacturer part search panel down here, and if you don't have it, you can go to panels, manufacturer part search. And this is an IC. This will usually help us filter down a little bit. You'll see pretty much every IC in existence comes up. What we actually want is this part number. Take this, and paste it in here and search. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually add the supplier link and the parameters to this part. So if we click here, it'll actually auto import the supplier, which will tell us how many that they have in stock at the moment, and this will update every day. As you can see, this was last updated yesterday. It will tell you the price and what quantity you can order it in. I'll actually add a couple different ones, a couple different suppliers to this part. When it's red, it means the part is currently out of stock. And typically this will add the data sheet and the family overview as well, so I'm just going to go and clean these up. So now you can see auto imported all of this stuff: the description, manufacturer, manufacturer part number, the suppliers. I have supplier part numbers, which I actually don't want to be visible, so I'll turn these off. Typically the only things that I want to be visible are the manufacturer and the manufacturer part number, which I already have here in the comment, so I have these two as visible. I'm going to go to File and Save. And now this actually has all useful information, all the useful information required to use this in a design, other than the footprint, and some simulation data. So this will actually help us with sourcing later on in our design when we go to generate the data sheet, because these links are updated daily and will tell us how much stock the manufacturer has on hand. So it'll tell us if these parts are out of stock, if these parts are going to go out of stock, if they've reached the end of their life cycle. All these things are handled in the supplier information that's linked to the part. I hope this tutorial helped you guys with your Altium library components. Thank you for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, or let me know what I can change in future videos.